about how if the power ever goes out, the Decker room's like a community resilience hub.
Oh,
It's powered
nice.
with solar panels and shit.
That's.
Hey.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. Where's this?
Are you
one?
going?
This
I'm
is,
Dylan, yes.
Dave.
Come on. Like when you want to play? You want to play?
Preston.
good to see you. Thank you.
No problem.
Let's see what the size of these look like.
Oh, yeah, I meant to text you earlier and say what I thought, but I'll let you just take a look at it.
Oh,
I'm excited. What is the resilience of, oh, these look so good.
Just as.
Oh, wow,
So that-
that looks amazing.
Yeah.
Can I touch it?
Yeah, as I put it on polypropylene, so. I can reuse it if we want.
nice.
That looks really good. I can't
Yeah.
believe the quality of that image. These are all the posters we want to hang up on Friday for a thingy.
Heck, yeah.
I'm really excited for this event. I think it's gonna be such a blast.
Same. And we're getting pizza.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the pizza and beer. So if we put these on the divider thing at the door,
Mhm.
my feeling that these are probably big enough.
Oh, yeah, I agree that these ones are too,
These are too small.
and I don't know about the image quality. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll blow up or not. This blew up just fine, because. Her name, there's a woman that was in the,
Christina?
from DOLA, that was.
Oh.
Jackie?
Hello.
I don't remember.
No. Anyway, I texted her and she gave me the website.
Hi, Lou. How you going? I'm Jordan.
Hey, I'm Sheridan.
Jordan.
Nice to meet you.
Dylan, Jordan.
Jordan,
Nice to meet you.
Anyway, she gave me, another
Watching me the next.
website where this was a PDF and it blew up this phone.
Oh,
Good luck.
Maybe
You know?
it's a PDF, it'll work.
oh, that's about any of that.
Get this stuff out of the way.
Someone's gotta keep me on this.
Okay. Yeah.
Who's Kim coming or? is
She is going to come, but she's gonna be on.
Zoom?
Community.
No, I don't, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I have.
Okay. Dave, is this your spot? No. Aldous, yeah, Aldous thinks he found a better seat. He's like, I had seen this.
Emailing Dola and
Still
SMP all day today.
Yeah, we.
I know, yeah.
Had a few times,
Okay.
yeah. 100% now. Amazing what surgery can do, yeah.
That's so cool.
And I tried to get the flexibility back as well. But it's
That's
great.
huge. Look at your recruiting heavily.
That's right.
Like a freaking liar.
I know, I'm sorry.
No.
Doesn't exist.
So Kendra's Kim.
Oh, she was like, but I'm going to send her the link right now so it's for anyone. And I will be starting us off anyway.
Okay, so you'll cover it.
Yep, so I'll get it started
Sounds good.
and
We have a lot to cover in
yeah.
2 hours and we have about 45 minutes for that conversation. So
Okay.
whoever, I guess, David, I'm gonna call the meeting to order.
Yeah. So I'll call the meeting to order at 5 o'clock. Do a roll call. Dana, not here. Carrie,
Here.
Christina,
Here.
Sheridan,
Here.
and Dave Jones is not here, and I'm here.
Amazing.
So our first agenda item is Kendra with low energy code information.
Before Kendra takes the floor, and thanks for being here.
Yeah. Happy to
And
be.
then I'll let you share your screen. We have Angie Kemp, she's our town planner. I've met her before, and then Jordan Batchelder, our building official.
Great.
Angie's been with the town a little over a year now in Jordan.
Almost a
8
year.
months, almost a year. Jordan rounds up, but they're great. So they're joining the conversation today to aid the outreach timeline, to make sure we're where we need to be and getting this initiative that we're gonna talk about usher forward. But
I'm to share my screen. And if any of you catch, Kim might be joining in the waiting room there. She's the other eco option. I can get this started. Hi, everybody. Super excited to be here. My name is Kendra Held. I'm with Eco Action Partners, Climate Action Coordinator. We joined soon by Kim Wheels, our energy specialist. We're going to give a brief overview of the low energy and carbon code, regional code over effort that Angie and Jordan have participated in for the past almost year now, like 1 year of this group work being together. And we'll use all of your insights to dive into suggestions or recommendations for town council for amendments to the low energy and carbon code. And as we're presenting, if there are notes that you have about things that would be extra helpful to share with the council or things to not include, we're getting too deep into the details. Keep that in mind. That feedback is also helpful for us to know. So today we're gonna review the cohort goals, just touch on the 2024 IECC and state requirements, the resources that the state is providing, touch on the low energy and carbon code, which is the base code that we are aligning on as a region. Where your input will be most helpful is going to be on the SCP code cohort key regional amendments. We've picked out a few that your recommendations will be helpful on. And Angie and Jordan will be really helpful in that conversation as well. We've already had a one-on-one with them. And then next steps, we'll look at kind of the timeline for Ridgway adoption, some of those pieces with outreach, and then regional training opportunities that have already happened or will be coming down the pipeline. So the why of this cohort, we all know that greenhouse gas emissions are mostly comprised of building energy use. We have regional emissions reduction goals, and specifically in the regional climate action plan, there are several objectives that relate specifically to buildings. This cohort is really focusing on reducing emissions, having regional adoption of the same base code. For us, that's the state's low energy and carbon code. And then identifying supporting amendments based on that code that can be regionally adopted. And that's kind of where our conversation will focus. Really, we're working towards collaboration and consistency across the region in this group.
can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for
On
it.
the previous slide, on the new base code standard, does that include the solar and EV ready code? Is that kind of? I know that was
Yes.
separate. Low energy and carbon code, correct?
Yeah, I'll have Kim jump in here.
Okay, yeah, sorry if I'm.
No,
going forward.
No worries. Kim, did you?
Yes, yes, the electric ready code is incorporated into the low energy and carbon code. So it's so that you don't have to adopt separate codes. It's one big package.
Thanks, Kim.
Great question. Yeah, please do jump in with questions as they come up throughout the presentation. Kim and I are happy to take those as they come up. Otherwise, we think they'll get lost, and we don't want that to happen. The how, we have a grant from the Colorado Energy Office to facilitate code adoption. We've already hosted 6 cohort meetings. The draft code package has been completed and shared with staff across jurisdictions. Now we're getting into the public outreach and engagement portion and starting with implementation support. So that includes one-on-one community meetings that have already been completed for all the jurisdictions, and then adoption meeting support from our team as those government meetings happen. All of the regional partners are kind of in different places. Again, we're going for consistency. This is just a quick look at where everyone is at. Most communities are on the 2018 IECC. And again, we're all shooting for the low energy and carbon code. Getting into state requirements for 2024 IECC adoption. This is just showing how the energy codes have changed over time and really improved their energy efficiency, making buildings more and more efficient kind of year over year, is the goal here. And Kim, feel free to jump in at any point in time. Actually, I'll have you jump in here.
Perfect. Thank you so much for kicking us off. Or just getting settled here. I apologize, everybody, that I can't be there in person today, but glad for Kendra's teamwork to make this happen. So the state's minimum requirements, currently the required code is the 2021 IECC and the Model Electric and Solar Ready Code. After July 1st, the requirement would be the Low Energy and Carbon Code, which, as we discussed from Preston's question, that Low Energy and Carbon Code includes the Model Electric Ready Code. The goal of the cohort was simply to take advantage of the funding as best as possible, recognizing that we have limited funds in our region to adopt energy codes with all of our small jurisdictions. And so just really leveraging those funds of like, let's go as far as we can using these state funds with the code that is going to be required very soon anyway for with any code adoption.
And as of
Next slide,
today,
please.
the LECC is published and ready for jurisdictions to adopt. So we just happen to be on the same day as this really awesome setting date.
Yes, we're ready.
Jurisdiction.
Exactly. So we could,
We can be done by
you could
tomorrow, right?
adopt, but we're not going to do that. We still have a little bit of time.
Kim, quick question. What does model electric mean? I've always wondered why the word model is in there. What is
The
that?
term model simply, to me, it means baseline. It means the base code. And from there, then jurisdictions can create their amendments to it as long as they don't weaken it. So it's kind of, using the model to then form your own code as needed with the amendments to it, but there are stipulations around what you can change. Does that help?
Great. Yeah, I thought for a minute it might be model or something weird.
Yeah, no. Great. This is just another way to look at the timeline of what their state requirements are. And then this next section is just to let everybody know that there are a lot of resources available from the state to support this energy code adoption. The goal of the low energy or the low energy and carbon code was created to be more flexible and less complex than the 2024 IECC. And we'll go into more details as to what the changes, improvements were from the IECC to the other, to the LECC. This is more training and technical assistance that's available for adoption. If you're not on the email list and you would like to be, especially building department staff, I highly recommend it. I get the emails, but I can't keep up with forwarding on everything that's available. The Colorado Code Helpline and Adoption Kit Toolkit already exists. Not necessarily yet for the LECC, that will be coming, but for everything else and all the questions, there's a whole lot of information out there. And there's links to all of this from Eco Action Partners website, period. So all these different tools and assistance and support is all available from the state. Okay, now we're going to jump into the low energy and carbon code. Any questions about anything that we just covered?
No.
Okay, great. So the goals of the low energy and carbon code are to minimize emissions from the built environment, maintain housing affordability, provide compliance paths for both all electric and mixed fuel buildings. So it's not an all electric required code. And then the big thing is to create consistency across the state as much as possible. We're working across our region, makes it easier for contractors, builders, design professionals, as well as the building departments themselves for enforcement. Back up one little bit. And then more streamlined resources, training, best practices, so that our workshops are applicable for everybody. Okay, thank you. It's published today. I probably have it in my inbox, but I haven't seen yet. It's a really strong stepping stone toward an all-electric code. It includes a lot of electric preferred requirements. It removes the inherent bias toward use of natural gas that is in the IECC. and the electric ready, solar ready, EV ready requirements that were developed in the first round of Energy Code Board development from the state are incorporated into the code. And then it really helps to prepare the building community for that future adoption of the all electric requirement. This is just a really easy way to look at the comparisons of the major changes and improvements between the 2024 IECC and the LECC from this created by the state. There's no change to the compliance pathways. All homes are able to apply or comply through all of the different there's 3 different compliance pathways. All homes are able to comply through all 3, except for the extra large homes. And we'll get into that a little bit in future slides. As we said in the previous slide, the fuel debiasment and electric preferred is incorporated into the LECC. The performance pathway, which is utilizes energy use as the performance method versus energy cost. And because natural gas currently is cheaper, that is where that bias comes in for natural gas versus electricity. So that performance pathway, it's focusing on energy use, which is really what we're trying to target when we are aiming to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And because energy use is so variable from jurisdiction, maybe not within our region, since we're all under SMPA for electricity use, but across the state, there's a huge disparity with different electricity costs as well as natural gas costs, and all of those can change into the future. So we're really trying to dial in on energy use as being the criteria. And then we set home size criteria for large and extra large homes. We'll show a little bit further. And then there's demand response capability required for water heating in the LECC. The next slide is a similar comparison with the commercial code. Very similar. And here's where we get into the home size requirements. Any home in the state code, what's set as a large home is 5,000 square feet. So any home that is, and this is total conditioned floor area. There was a lot of discussion around what the definition and what that size and what square footage should fall under this definition. But it's total conditioned floor area. So if there's a conditioned basement, that is also included in that floor area. And that's how our region has always considered and treated conditioned area anyway, as well as it's consistent with the modeling software. So that is going to help with creating some streamlining. So any home under, back up one second.
Question, sorry.
Yep.
Kim, what is what are the acronyms ERI and HERS? Sorry if I missed that.
No, that's okay. So HERS has been around for a long time. It stands for Home Energy Rating Score. That's ResNet certified or ResNet monitored, controlled for how to model and give a home a score. It's based on for the 2006 IECC. So the value of that score never changes. So if a home gets say a score of 80, that means it's 20% better than the 2006 IECC. And it doesn't matter whether it got that score of 80 back in 2006 or whether it gets it now or into the future, it stays the same. Now, what they tried to do in the IECC to create a trying to think of the right word, ResNet's like an entity. They tried to create something that's more universal. So they created an ERI score, which is, what's it called?
Like
I'm
energy
blanking on
rating.
the energy
what-
rating index. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Energy rating index. And so what they did was they created the energy rating index, which is intended to be a score, but that score changes per IECC that it's based on. So it's not a standalone. If you get a score of 80 in the ERI from 2018, that's different than a score of 80 in the 2024 IECC. So the industry is working to create standardization, even between the ERI score from a particular code and the HERS score. And in our amendment package, we have language to just how to streamline and just make it really clear that what jurisdictions are looking for is the HERS score, so that it's not confused between the ERI in a particular code versus the HERS. standard, which is how San Diego County, Telluride, and Mountain Village have already been enforcing it, and most of the jurisdictions across the state, they're looking for a HERS score because that's what has a foundational meaning. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I know that was a lot to try to explain that. It's there's reasons for that energy rating index, but it also made things a lot more confusing and complicated when those were introduced.
Kim, are these
So this
scores,
essentially,
And there's a question.
are these scores assessed as built, or how are these scores determined, you know, for a house?
yeah, so speaking as a HERS rater, there's a 3-step process that I work with clients as. So there's a preliminary HERS score that is based on the modeling of the home during the design process. So it's based on how the home is expected to perform based on all of its criteria. And that includes the mechanical equipment and appliances and an assumed air leakage for the home. The HERS rater is required to inspect the insulation, to confirm that the insulation was installed to perform well, and then it gets graded in the software, but then also that it was installed at the depth and amount that was designed for. And then at final, this is the third step, there's a final inspection. And then that final inspection, we confirm all the appliances, all the mechanical equipment, confirming model numbers, window stickers get confirmed somewhere along the way, just to confirm that everything was done as modeled initially. And then there's a blower door test to actually test for the air leakage. And that final air leakage test goes into the final modeling software. So there's a preliminary score that says, yes, this home is on track toward meeting the required value. And then there's a final to confirm that it does meet it. And if it doesn't, then additional measures need to be taken in order to reduce that score.
So one more question. So this is all done by a separate HERS rater, not the building inspection for jurisdiction, right?
Correct. If a home chooses to go through the HERS score pathway or the ERI pathway, or typically the performance pathway as well, software modeling is used very similarly to confirm the performance pathway. Those are the two methods that are typically third-party certified, verified.
Awesome. Good questions.
Yes, good
Any other
question.
questions? Okay, keep going, Kim.
Okay. I think these are just kind of the details around what is required for homes that are over 5,000 square feet. And then at 7,500 square feet, that's the only size category of home that is essentially just required to be net zero. So it can't comply via the prescriptive or performance pathways.
When you say net zero, did that mean that they self-generate or some other means, or is that net zero on the scores?
So it's net zero score, which means being as efficient as possible with a building envelope, and then to solar energy or other renewable energy brings the score down to 0.
To the traditional net zero definition.
Yep, correct. So this is just explaining how the low energy and carbon code compares to the 2024 IACC to create an electric preferred approach in the code. So compared to an all electric building, a mixed fuel building would have to use 5% less energy use annually in the performance pathway, or the ERI index, it would have to achieve a score of 5 points lower. And then it's very similar in the commercial modeling as well. Okay, any questions related to that? After that, we're going to get into the regional amendment package and some details there. Okay.
Going. This is where you all get to chat in a bit. So get excited.
So our regional amendment package was developed to apply to the low energy and carbon code, versus it could have been created to apply to like the 2024 IECC or a different code, we're actually using the language specifically that would be needed in the reference criteria for the code number for each section that would apply for the low energy carbon code. That makes it a whole lot easier and more streamlined for adoption. There will be an explanatory version that includes notes and shortened explanations of what the intent is behind the amendments. And then all of the amendments are created as optional for jurisdictions to choose to include. And we do have, our team has developed a checklist so far, or a tracking list for which jurisdictions are choosing which amendments so far. As I think Kendra said, none of them have gone into the council discussions yet, but that's just so that some of the jurisdictions, especially for some of the amendments, people are wondering, well, what are the rest of the jurisdictions doing? If we're striving for consistency, what's everybody else choosing here? So that's something that we can always pull up if necessary, if that would be helpful. Okay. So this is just,
Okay, sorry.
this is a full list of the residential amendments. We'll go into some of the details related to them. This is the rest of the list. One thing that I wanted to point out is that there was, we had quite a bit of conversation within the cohort meetings and then during the one-to-one meetings about the mechanical commissioning requirement, which came from the Telluride code, because we wanted to make sure that nobody was losing amendments that were progressive. And then we realized that the 2024 IECC requires mechanical ventilation to be verified and checked. So we no longer needed that mechanical commissioning requirement as an amendment item. So it's been deleted as an option. And then we'll go into the specifics. Just overview of commercial. These are just a few of the items, very few, but and we'll go into just one of them that's available. And then we discussed at the last, maybe 2 SAB meetings ago, I can't remember which month it was, but we discussed the option of waiting on the electric required amendment item, don't want to say package, but the electric required amendments for both residential and commercial until, and utilizing the accelerator grant, assuming we get it, hopefully get it, the impact accelerator grant, in order to prepare the community and prepare the building community for adoption of the electric required amendments. Any questions there? Okay, we'll jump into the specifics then of just a few of these that have stimulated further conversation or extra conversation.
We're not going through the full menu. We've just picked out a few that we want some discussion on. So don't be afraid.
And these are ones that
Thanks.
you guys are sort of recommending us to recommend?
I think maybe looking for input. Kim, how would you, frame that?
Yeah, I would say, because we've already gone through every single amendment with with staff. And so these are just a few that either were undetermined as to what staff's input would be, or really need council level input and decision making because it's more of a political level decision, such as home size. So yeah, just kind of some key ones that weren't as obvious of yes or no to bring up for discussion.
Okay.
So this is just a refresher slide. We looked at it before as to what the home size categories are. The reason why we're bringing this one up as an optional amendment is because in other jurisdictions in our region that already use home category sizes for HERS score requirements, they currently have requirements for homes under 3,500 or 3,600, depending on which jurisdiction, or below. And that's where that's, sorry, 3,600, 3,500 or above is where that score gets triggered and is essentially treated as a large home. So the low energy and carbon code has 5,000 square feet as the large home. What we're proposing as an option is for jurisdictions to consider changing that size from 5,000 square feet down to 3,500 square feet. It would capture more homes as needing to implement further efficiency measures in order to comply. But it is out of alignment with the state. But it would be a pretty simple one as far as the training being provided and education being provided by the state, this isn't one that would make anything more complicated for per se to enforce, because it's not a change in like technology or something like that. During the staff discussion, the preference was to align with the state level to not change the size threshold, but just wanted to bring that up for discussion because this one in particular is more of a political conversation.
We have discussion about this now, or are you gonna go through the whole list first?
Yeah, it's a discussion now would be great.
Question for Angie and Jordan, what, in your experience, what percentage of houses applying for permits have you seen that are over 3,500 square feet?
0.
Yeah.
Really?
0, so even 35 is.
Ridgway, yeah, 35 is.
I think in the county, there's definitely some larger houses, but I don't remember, was the county planning to? I thought they were keeping it in line with the state as well,
Most
and I
people,
think that's why we ultimately were like, okay, we'll do what the county's doing. We don't see these big houses.
Yeah, currently county staff is proposing to keep it in alignment with the state. There is the possibility that the county commissioners would want to change the square footage. Because again, it really does come down to a kind of a little bit political and a little bit of where the reality of what the typical home sizes are and what is considered like that's beyond the threshold of what's our normal and what a community considers wanting to have as its norm.
Is this before the city of Uray as well, or is the county encompass the city?
This would be the county. The city just adopted 2018, right before we applied for this grant. The city of Uray and the town of Ophir are the two jurisdictions that did not want to come along with the LECC at this time, but they wanted to stay updated as to what was happening so they could catch up soon thereafter.
So the county's probably considering the non-city, what do they call it, the unincorporated county, larger parcels, bigger homes.
So I mean, my understanding that lowering these would have the effect of making, Ridgway and the county more energy efficient. Essentially,
If both the Ridgway and the county did, yes.
Right.
It sounds like,
Ridgway.
for this Ridgway, yeah.
correct. Yeah, it sounds like in Ridgway, it's not applicable yet, but
So what is the process, the outcome of this whole presentation discussion? Are we here to advise staff as to what you guys will adopt?
So I think what Kim and Kendra have on the slide is pretty helpful. I mean, it says staff discussion. I mean,
Oh, I see.
and Angie and Jordan pretty much just gave their 2 cents on how to proceed in line with what the county's doing. I think, how many of these slides are there, Kendra? I'm just curious, like, because I know we're picking and choosing some of the amendments, but the
Yeah.
purpose, to answer your question, is to get SAB input, maybe a recommendation to inform the future. Do you have a slide on like the outreach timeline that we've been going back and forth on?
Yep.
That we can communicate to stakeholders and participants in all the outreach sessions going forward, what the SAB thinks, what staff is thinking, and ultimately the decision rests with the town board. So they're gonna have to weigh all the information, which it's a lot, what staff's thinking, what the SAB thinks, and proceed accordingly. Does that make sense? So I think as we take these one by one, it'd be good to maybe get some consensus so that we can move to the next slide.
So just a question. So your preference for option 2 was based on was it?
I wouldn't
Easier
say
to-
preference. It's more of just like we're not seeing homes that large, so we kind of didn't feel obligated to go for a smaller home size. And if the county isn't doing it, to just be easy on our building community.
my vote was just simplicity, like, let's just align with the state. The state is already doing a pretty good job, like, why do we need to make it more complicated for?
And with the potential developments in the pipeline, which right now there's not that many, there's really not many, we don't foresee anything at that level. Not even close.
It's interesting to me that.
So it wouldn't be any extra work then if we're not anticipating it to just recommend the 3,500 change possibly.
I misunderstood what you're saying, or I didn't understand what you're saying.
Oh, if we were to if SAB recommended option 1, since there's nothing in the pipeline that would be that large, it wouldn't really immediately have much of an impact on the community, except for us recommending something more energy efficient.
Yeah, it's more, I think it's more of a position or a statement than it is a practical reality from what I'm hearing.
Okay,
But the fact that Telluride and Mountain Village and all San Diego County has adopted the more stringent requirement speaks, pretty loud to me, especially Mountain Village.
Terry, let me correct, currently in the current codes, they're using the 3,500 square feet. But what we're hearing from those jurisdictions is that when adopting the LECC, they are inclined to, well, it's different with each one. But some of them are inclined to align with the state. Some Mountain Village staff is inclined to go with the 3,500 since they already have that. So it's a little bit up in the air between each jurisdiction of, well, let's just align with the state versus having more of the inclination to try to use this as a tool and to reduce the energy use and emissions associated with those larger homes. And I will say that there are studies, again, this doesn't really apply to Ridgway if you're not seeing and won't see the 3,500 square feet or homes over that size. But we do have studies that show that homes over 3,500 and even then 5,000 and 7,500, that homes as they get larger inherently use a lot more energy per square foot because of all the extra amenities that are typically installed. So again, this isn't necessarily, applicable to how things are constructed for Ridgway, but it does become more of an energy use tool. I'm just trying to think of the right word. But a tool to use to address energy use of those more amenity loads.
What is the additional burden to the staff if we were to go to 3,500?
I mean, as of now, there's nothing, because there's no homes anywhere near that, but I think it'd just be educational. My guess is people would just build homes at 3,400.
Yeah, right on that cusp.
you might like that too, then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Might be
totally
right.
fine, yeah. So we won't be offended if you
Yeah,
recommend something other than what we suggested.
It kind of aligns with what we're doing, right? I feel like we're setting a precedent. It's
Right.
impressive. I mean, there's some challenges here in Telluride's facing at Mountain Village, for lots of insurance, resources, all that stuff. I think it's a good precedent to set. Kind of in line with all the other things we want to do, because the resources are limited here. You need to make sure that people are staying in tune.
Yeah.
Elvis agrees.
He agrees.
I guess I'll just recognize that we are at 5:35, so we have about 10 minutes left and a few other ones that we want to get to. And so, yeah, if we take like a minute or so for SAB to get consensus on your recommendation, and then we can record that and we'll incorporate that for future notes.
Okay.
Right, so I don't think it's really a vote, but I mean, how are we feeling? Do you think that we're feeling like the option one is kind of what we should,
It's consistent with a lot of
Consistent
things
with-
we're promoting.
right?
Yeah,
Kind of my feeling.
I agree.
Okay.
Right.
As long
Just
as,
for
as
option.
long as it doesn't create.
Yeah, but does it create an undue burden? And
No.
I think that's,
Awesome.
And it's almost, to your point, it's almost moot.
yeah.
Yeah.
As of now, yeah.
All right, mechanical systems, manual design temps, and heat pump performance.
Okay, great. And there's really no discussion needed, just kind of wanted to let you know what these are. This is establishing design criteria to help mechanical designers and engineers use the appropriate outdoor design temperatures for Ridgway and for each community in our region, recognizing that it changes drastically based on elevation. We have a lot of microclimates, and our weather stations that the Manual J documents refer to the Telluride Airport and the Montrose Airport, and those are the only options. So what we've done is a more in-depth study of what the microclimates are and tried to identify the specific criteria that should be used for each community. And recognizing this is not the absolute temperatures, so it's not the lowest temperature that Ridgway ever sees, and it's not the highest, but instead it's the Manual J requires using the 1% and the 99%. So you're capturing most of everything in between, but you're not designing for that extreme. There's If the homes are built well, they should be able to retain enough heat or cool that they should weather through those extremes. This amendment does not require heat pumps. That's been a big, huge source of confusion throughout the code cohort conversations. This is not a requirement for heat pumps. It simply is a method of ensuring that if a heat pump is installed, that it has the capacity based on its efficiency values, that it can function effectively in our cold climate. And this is to help avoid installation of heat pumps that don't perform well, which then gives a bad rep to heat pumps and makes homeowners pay more when they have it on in the winter, and it's the electric resistance heat that is functioning to heat the home versus the heat pump functionality of the device. So staff was in support of this amendment. Just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Question, how does that align with the available incentives? Are the incentives from SMPA, from the state, from the feds in alignment with this requirement?
Yeah, the only incentive that applies specifically to performance values is SMPA's. All the rest of the incentives apply to any heat pump, as far as I understand. But SMPA has this criteria to, again, help make sure that any heat pump that's installed in our region will function effectively in our cold climate. So this is in alignment with what those values are with SMPA's requirement.
Same with the financing too, like the renew and the OBR financing. If you want to use it, you have to have a certain performance
So
criteria.
this
Okay.
incentivize them.
Okay, so this one is just to acknowledge that again, remember that there were 3 pathways to compliance for a home. And in the prescriptive path was essentially if you're installing windows, they have to perform to this. If you have insulation in your walls, it has to be this. And it's just a list. But there's no limitation on how much glazing a home could have. So a home could comply with 100% glass walls and still comply with the prescriptive path. So this is a method of putting a limit on that, so that if a home wants to have more than 30% glazing, that home has to comply through one of the other 2 pathways, so that its lack of efficiency in its glass is made up for with other components of the home. And 30% was chosen from the building science class that we had Robbie Schwartz come and do. Essentially 30% is the upper limit of how a home effectively performs well. If you have it greater than that for glazing, there's a lot of compensating for overheating, overcooling because of that drastic heat loss through the windows. But again, so that amendment does not limit homes to having more glass. It just makes sure that they would go through a different compliance pathway. Okay. These items are just for thermal performance. In the current codes that Ridgway has and the rest of the region has, continuous insulation is required on the outside of the building. This helps with overall thermal performance. It helps with creating an air barrier to reduce air leakage. It's all sorts of benefits for performance of the home. The 2024 code allows for homes to just make up for that difference from, if they don't have continuous insulation on the outside, then they can just fill the cavity more with more spray foam insulation. But that cavity insulation doesn't make up for the lack of the other benefits of continuous insulation. So what we're proposing in this amendment is to have an amendment that maintains that R5 minimum for exterior insulation. Ridgway has had this as an enforcement item for a long time, and staff is supportive of continuing to include it. I just wanted to bring this up. A lot of other jurisdictions are, again, let's just comply with state level code. Let's not do anything extra or different. Let's allow for the options. But I'm definitely in support of Ridgway continuing to have it. So
Can I just add, as staff, it's not like I support it or don't. I don't have a problem with it either way. It's not hard to enforce, but I think we're the only group in the cohort who would continue doing it. Like Telluride wasn't gonna do it. They would allow it to fill a little cavity, so I don't know, take that as you will.
Yeah. Kudos is what I would say.
But yeah, I don't support it or not, I just don't have a problem with it.
Thanks for that clarification.
Yeah.
Okay, this is just a clarification that via the ERI pathway and the performance pathway, there's still a better envelope performance that's required. And there will be tools to support staff with checking for that 15% improvement requirement. Okay, this is another one that was kind of a big discussion item. It may not apply a lot to Ridgway, but we're seeing more and more heated garages. And so this amendment is a carryover from the San Miguel County Telluride Mountain Village codes previously that require for a higher insulated garage door than might otherwise be installed. The current codes say R18. We heard some challenges from architects that can be hard to achieve, especially on an economic level for smaller homes. So we did some research and identified R16 as an easier, more cost-effective method for the typical size home. This is the research below that our team did. It looks like, you know, having an R16, like that it looks like from the research that it would be feasible, and it's not that much of a cost increase, especially considering the improved thermal performance of a heated garage in this. So I want to open this one up for discussion, given the research that staff hasn't seen yet.
Any research related to the energy savings associated with the more restrictive requirement?
I'll say what I've seen as a HERS rater and checking into heated garages is that we don't necessarily have a specific study between our values for the garage. It depends on the size of the garage, depends on the glazing in the garage. There's all sorts of different things, but the better performing garage doors also seal more air tightly. So you have less air leakage around the garage itself, around that garage door itself too. So there's kind of an increasing kind of level of return by investing in a well-performing garage door.
And that's what I was getting at, is what's the ROI essentially for having a more restrictive requirement? If it's quantifiable.
So,
Yeah.
so if you have a heated garage, then that means that square footage of the garage is included in the building envelope square footage, right? And the HERS.
No, garages are not included and they're not able to be modeled in the HERS rating or HERS
Oh,
model.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's part of the requirements of doing that modeling.
Hmm.
So this is a way of kind of handling that exterior energy use. The garage is considered exterior to the conditioned area of the home. Otherwise, there's no criteria anywhere.
What's the percentage that you guys have seen of attached versus detached garages?
I'd say mostly attached right now, and they're mostly heated.
They're mostly heated.
What do people heat the garages for? Is it something that?
Just to live in them.
Yeah.
That's Kate.
Yeah,
Flavor.
heated slabs, so your car warms up. I always have tools, bikes, you know.
I'm just wondering if the people who heat their garages
Yeah.
are more able to afford the.
Yeah. It's usually, from what I see, that it's it's on its own dedicated, you know, zone. So they're kept at 55 degrees or something, pretty minimal.
Oh, okay. What do y'all think?
Lowers the cost of your extra freezer that's in the garage.
Right.
They probably already have the rated door. They're gonna spend that money, I would assume.
They would want to
If
save
you
that energy.
recommended for
Hmm.
better seal.
Hmm.
But no, it was.
Again, I kind of just feel like it goes with the philosophy of SAB to energy efficiency, you know, that people can afford a heated garage, maybe a little bit more money. They can afford a better garage door. I don't know. That's kind of my basic feeling.
Yeah, for the sake of time, I feel the same way. Yeah.
Thanks for that insight.
Okay, great, thank you. This staff was in agreement with including this. Simply eliminates homes from being allowed to have a higher air leakage rate just because they're going through a performance pathway or the ERI score pathway. Again, in the current 2018 code or other codes, there's been a backstop of 3.0 ACH50, which is the level of air changes per hour that's allowed. And in the 2024, it allows for a higher air leakage for homes going through the performance pathways. But that doesn't, it's not a very good practice in our cold climate to allow that much more airflow to go through just because the home is complying in a different way. Okay. Any questions or comments on that one?
No, and then
Okay.
Kim, we are at 5:48, so just thinking about time.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. This is a requirement that's already in the current code. We've what's the word for it? We've edited it, revised it, because the original version right now is essentially requiring on-site renewable energy or SMPA green blocks is one way of an offset. Since green blocks is not the current program and it's now totally green, that creates a much more easy 100% offset mechanism. We've just updated that a little bit. So this is the language of what goes into the code, and staff is supportive of retaining this, which I'd be grateful for if that continued. Commercial buildings. In developing the low energy and carbon code, the Energy Code Board decided that based on the fact that not all buildings get great access to sun, that as the electric grid gets cleaner, on-site renewable energy becomes less critical. The requirement that's in the 2024 IECC was for renewable energy for a commercial building was moved from a required item to an optional appendix. So if a jurisdiction wants to retain that requirement that a new commercial building has renewable energy on site, or it could comply via offsite, that appendix could be utilized and adopted into the code. This is an item that kind of came out of the finalization of the low energy and carbon code. It wasn't discussed at any of our code cohort meetings. We just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention during these final meetings.
And what are the pros and cons of this?
Sounds like an expensive ask for new commercial buildings.
Would it be the same two options as before in residential A or B, or is it just on-site renewables?
There's on-site, there's also language in the code for off-site compliance, essentially through RECs or purchase into the Paradox Solar Array or similar. It's not RECs though, because the item before this in which it is allowing for totally green to be the way of complying, this is more stringent. And again, I could get into look into more of the details as far as what the offsite compliance method is. We didn't talk about it a whole lot at the Energy Code Board level because it was pretty much universal of let's leave it up to commercial buildings to determine whether it was cost effective for them to put solar on their buildings or not.
So without this appendix, it would default to the previous A or B?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know about this.
We have recently, with the microgrid, for example, Space to Create, would have been difficult for that building to generate all the building's power. Just by virtue of the available roof space, because it has so much HVAC on it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think there's a lot of complications and this might receive a lot of resistance as a mandatory item. I think where it makes sense that if buildings are going solar ready anyway, they may choose that it would make sense for them to install solar.
I'm seeing in some things a hesitation to include this one, so that take
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think we're
I think
saying
so.
no. Yeah.
I think we're saying.
Great. Awesome. Okay. All electric. This is just the language around the future amendments for all electric. I don't think we need to get in them in detail now, but we'll plan for a future adoption timeline and utilize the accelerator grant opportunity to prepare the community for it.
Yeah, this isn't being included right now. It's future consideration.
Okay.
Steps.
Next steps.
This is our final slides.
Kendra, do you want to go over these?
Yeah, I'll go over these.
Okay. Great.
So we've already posted two trainings this spring, and then these are the cohort training opportunities that are coming up this fall and into the winter. One is going to be a Building Energy Codes 101. This is for the general public. We're planning it as a regional hybrid event, Angie.
Sorry, I just have an update because the Decker Room's not available October 2nd.
Okay.
But 10/1, the day before, it's a Wednesday, it is available. So I have an email for you.
Cool. To figure out locations, the way that we're imagining this event happening is having 3 physical options for the 3 counties for folks to attend in person, but also have this event be hybrid and virtual, so folks can also hop on Zoom. Our team from Lotus and Resco will be on Zoom to present and answer questions. It's very kind of introductory level, the benefits of energy codes, what the heck is the Building Energy Code, and kind of preparing the conversation that way. And so, yeah, we will get into some of the details on like timing and location with staff support. But keep an eye out for that event. There's going to be a mechanical contractor roundtable on October 14th. That's just for those contractors.
Would that one include architects and others?
That one won't. I think they're welcome to attend. They haven't in the past. It's really more focused on HVAC contractors. We had one in the spring, and this is going to be the next kind of round of that. But the perspective is certainly welcome. Whereas the electrification workshop that's going to be taking place in November, that is for all different types of contractors, including architects. And then January is when we are planning on hosting the actual LECC workshop. That's like the big one that is really for everyone. Building staff and officials, as well as all different contractor types from start to finish in the process. And then there's additional support from the CEO that can be available later as needed.
On that last point, are these outreach of these workshops, how are they funded, and were they included in the Impact Accelerator grant with the outreach, or are they already assumed and paid for?
Yes, so these are all included in the code cohort package for this Building Energy Code cohort. So these are already included in our planning for that. An accelerator might pertain more to specific things related to all electric or Ridgway.
In addition to.
Correct, yeah.
This slide doesn't account for work sessions and ordinance consideration by planning commission and the town council, which we're
Correct.
aiming to have, and that's okay. Pointing it out, we're aiming to have done this fall in advance of the new year.
Correct. Yeah, so this is like kind of zoomed out for all contractors for the whole region. And now we get into Ridgway adoption schedule and kind of what that is looking like. So this is going to include a brown bag or like lunch and learn session for contractors. We're currently coordinating that between Ridgway and Uriah County staff to have a joint kind of brown bag session. This is directed at contractors to gather their feedback and give them an opportunity to ask questions on the LECC. We're also planning an open house in early October. This will be more targeted specifically at the Ridgway community, a community event specific to the LECC amendment package. Again, kind of thinking about Energy Codes 101. This is then the next step in that, more specific to Ridgway specific amendments, that sort of thing. That would then be followed by a public hearing that is held with the Planning Commission. First reading would be at Town Council November 12th. And that's the first time that the LECC amendment package would be brought in front of the Ridgway Town Council. And then assuming second reading at Town Council on the 10th of December. Questions and thoughts on this component of things?
The open house, that's more specific, broad, code 101. This one is, that open house is more specific to Ridgway. Is there, I'm just kind of concerned that 2 community-wide events, like right in October, might sort of tread on one another. Is there some way to kind of combine those into one
Yeah, I think the purpose of the first one, the Energy Codes 101 and a regional approach is starting that conversation and getting folks interested in what is, why are we talking about energy codes? What is the purpose of this? And building some foundational information. We won't have time to go into every single jurisdiction specific amendments and why or why not they might be considered and that sort of thing. Yeah, I guess Kim, you're welcome to chime in on this too. I think we are also considering this open house as a request from staff of wanting to be really proactive in giving folks as many opportunities as possible to engage. So in case folks miss the first Building Energy Codes 101, they still have the opportunity to come to this open house and get some of that foundational knowledge. So it just gives us more opportunities to check in with folks on energy codes and with their concerns and feedback and make space for conversation.
That makes sense.
Other questions and thoughts?
Is that the last slide?
That's the last slide. I think there's a thank you slide, but.
Well,
this is the last one.
We owe you and
Yeah.
him a huge thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to do this today. This is super well done. And thanks for helping us round out these last two slides, especially this one, because we just collectively kind of came to this slate, I think last week sometime, or last couple of days. So I think this is going to work really well. As you said, we want to make sure we leave no stone unturned, and making sure folks understand what could be coming. So thank you very much for all the
Thank you all.
support. Really do appreciate it. It's been a long road with the Energy Code cohort and all those meetings, and
Yeah.
we appreciate you and Kim jumped off, but we really do appreciate all the coordination that went into it and continues to go into it. That's not over.
Yeah.
Any final questions for them, for Kendra and Kim? And huge thanks to Angie and Jordan for
Yeah,
all their
thank you
work.
so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, thanks
Staff
for
member
being
really
here.
well, make this happen. So you wanna.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah, as other questions come up, feel free to reach out to us. Yeah, I think giving the community an opportunity to, touch base multiple times and, if there are questions or misinformation that comes up at the first one, this open house gives us an opportunity to kind of clarify things as well. But yeah, kudos for going along this process. It's a lot to take in and staff have been super helpful in keeping us rolling. So kudos to all of you and I'll let you continue with the rest of your meeting.
Thank you, Kendra. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Echo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All support. You guys.
Echoes out.
Thanks.
All right, ribbon cutting. Sarah, you're kind of got the program here, so.
Thanks for coming down, Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for.
It's for the invite, I'm just sort of here to support if there's any questions you have with me. Follow your lead, Terry.
Okay, let's see, where to begin? So we had a meeting, when was it, last week sometime? I forget.
Last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday, thank you, all been a blur. With all of the participants that include Sustainability Advisory Board as a representing the town as a co-sponsor along with SMPA. So they're gonna be, SMPA is gonna have a presence of a couple of people, Alex Shelley, the head of communications executive, Val Schwark, who is the board member for this district,
Thanks, Kendra.
will be at the event. We put together a tentative timeline of what we're going to do. See you, Echo.
Big stretch.
Big stretch. Which includes, and so let me go through who all is going to be participating, then I'll go through. There's a proposed timeline, and we've gone through a variety of things, tasks and help from Tara and help from Preston, help from SCPA and DOLA and so forth. Anyway, so along with the Town of Ridgway Sustainability Advisory Board, who's going to be effectively hosting this, along with SMPA. Two representatives from DOLA, Department of Local Area Affairs, they're the ones who provided the grant for the microgrid. Will be there. We're actually giving them a private tour of the microgrid the day before, just so they're up to speed on what the funds went to. Hughes is gonna be represented, Eco Action Partners is gonna be there, Kim and company, actually, it's gonna be Molly, possibly Kim, I think. And maybe Kendra will have a table. We have a, have it here in front of me, but we have, actually shared it
I do.
as a projected layout for the event. Protect Our Winners will be there. The town elected officials hopefully will show up. Although personally, we haven't really had a chance. This is gonna happen before town council meeting. So do we need to have some sort of additional outreach to the other councilmen, council peoples to show up? At the
Town
town council?
council.
Yeah.
I mean, they should know by now, but I sent the press release out to forward it to everybody. So
Which I just saw today.
and it'll be publicly posted.
Yep.
Did I send you this?
And then Alternative Power Enterprises, who's the contractor that won the award that installed the system, will also be there. Maybe Sharon can share her screen.
Oh, yeah, let me join the meeting.
Big thanks to Sheridan and Dave for working on getting some of the materials together. Tim and Tara. There's a really cool sign that it's going to be, that is in the room already, that. Let me kind of walk through the schedule of events, and some of these details will come to the fore. So around 4:30 to 5, where people are gonna show up to set up their tables. We'll have APE. I'm actually gonna meet APE, this Alternative Power Enterprises, meet them there Thursday to test drive, the data monitoring. So there's a data monitoring and online data monitoring of the system. Of the actual performance of the system, which we're going to have on the big screen. He's going to test drive that computer on Thursday, just to make sure it works. On the big screen as the event begins. So you'll see the live data of the solar system and the battery, the sort of background information.
He'll have that on his computer.
He'll have it on, I have it on mine too, Rusty gave me access to it. But he'll have it on his, and it'll be projected on the big screen.
Projected, okay.
So that'll be sort of the background. As the event begins, so around 5:30 is when things happen. So we'll let people come in and mill about, looking at some of the tables and so forth. I mean, 6 o'clock, we'll begin a couple of low-key speeches and actually do the ribbon cutting. So the speeches will be given by Dola. First off, Dave is going to introduce the SAB and our role. And then we'll introduce me as an MC to introduce the rest of the speakers, and I'll give a brief description of the microgrid itself, which is the mechanics of how the actual microgrid works. And I'm going to be introducing Carl, I think, right? To talk about the resilience hub, features that went into the making of it, and what is now currently present in the room, including the sign, including the charging stations that she's acquired, which I haven't really seen much of. A little bit of the presentation you sent out, and you're welcome to put have any of your slides that you wish to use, or just describe to you. And we're trying to keep it as low key as possible.
Yeah, and there's some stuff we ordered that hasn't come yet, unfortunately. This is more delayed. I could have a slide that that's things that aren't even yet.
Okay, cool. And then after that, let's see what other things. So we'll get Dola up there to say a few words about their microgrid for community resilience program, which provided the funding for the microgrid based on the idea that we were going to turn it into a resilience hub. And then we'll probably go right to the ribbon cutting, which will give Mayor Clark an opportunity to say a few words. We'll have Dola hold one end of a ribbon. SMPA is providing the ribbon. We're working to help get a big pair of scissors, big, beautiful scissors.
Scissors. Check.
And then Val Schwartz, who is the SMPA board member, will hold the other side of the ribbon. Dola will hold one side. Mayor will give a little speech, cut the ribbon. And at that point that we cut the ribbon, we're going to go off grid and kill the breaker. And the room will then be powered by the battery bank. I found out today that the monitoring system has a 15-minute refresh. So it may not be immediately evident that we're off grid on the monitoring, but within 15 minutes, will happen during the activities. It will show up as, that we're now operating on the battery. At that time, we can turn on the resilience hub sign when we cut the ribbon, just give it some fanfare. And then mill about for another 15, 20 minutes, and then we're gonna have an airing of a movie from Protect Our Winters from PAL. So PAL will have a 20-minute movie that people can sit in the chairs to watch or not, and can mill about. We are gonna have refreshments. SMPA is gonna be providing pizza and beer from Colorado Boy. And PAL is providing a cooler full of non-alcoholic beverages, so we'll have that going on. There's also an active art exhibit going that will be present, but it doesn't take up any floor space. It's all art on the walls. Not sure if the artist is going to be there. Not sure if he's decided to come. And then during or after the airing of the movie, we'll give people physical tours of the battery system if they want to come see it. And then there's also going to be a table, a kids drawing area that Dana is supposed to be organizing along with, I forget who was going to assist her with that. Somebody that volunteered.
Somebody on the meeting. Who was that?
What's that?
Who's going to be helping Dana and the kids drawing table?
Oh, yeah, Molly.
Molly,
From
yeah.
Eco Action Partners. And then that effectively, the event will effectively just sort of quietly dissipate, and then the SAB members can help pitch in, and we'll put the tables away and chairs away. So that's the extent of it. I'd like to see, I know Dave's done some hard work with Sheridan on some of the graphics. Give us a preview of those, unless you want us to come over and look at them over there.
Do you need help?
I saw Preston or somebody on staff put the email, email out for the event, the promotional email. I got it today, received it.
Yeah, the
The
SMPA's.
Oh, the press release?
Yeah.
Press release.
So this is sort of the main poster that we created to say what a resilience hub is, and it's using a graphic that's on the DOLA website. So it's not quite as busy as the one you gave us, and it also blows up and yours didn't.
Yeah.
Yours included a bunch of things like community gardens and stuff like that that I felt was a little bit extraneous for this.
Different poster altogether, yeah.
So that's this one. It's a 24 by 36.
Is that gonna be on phone?
Oh, so this will be, we anticipate this would be on a divider that's behind the chargers.
Okay.
So right behind the chargers. However, I got this printed today and she had a whole bunch of problems trying to get it printed on. This is on polyurethane, but I thought might be one that'd be nice to have
To keep.
And she did 2 tests on regular paper, and then she had a problem with loading the paper. So we have 4 of these. So we could put them
Oh,
all over for this too.
were they mounted on foam core or just?
Just this.
Also, the divider, the black dividers that are in there, is that what you were gonna name?
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right.
There's several of those, so.
Yeah.
And then we have some foam core boards if we wanted
Mhm.
to snap them on there. I have some in my office, but.
I think, for this, I think the dividers are pretty rigid, and I think a thumbtack. But if we want to keep these for future events, maybe we want to
Create one that's
paste it onto
a
a
fixture.
foam board later.
How much, let me ask how much, what's the material? Would you say?
This is probably something, whatever.
Propylene or thin?
Probably
Weather resistant.
Mercantile?
Yeah,
How much did that cost?
this was 13, and she did 2 of them.
Oh, okay. Well, do you have receipts?
I do.
Give me receipts, I'll make sure that
Yeah.
I get you reimbursed.
Yeah, and then she did 2 test runs on paper, so again, and she didn't charge for that, so we have plenty of posters. Anyway, and so, yeah, we can put on polyurethane at this point. I think that for this, since we have those nice backboards, which sometimes can go in, right?
Yeah.
I think that'll be pretty substantial. Okay, so that's this one. And then, we talk about 3 posters that kind of talk about the SAB and what the SAB does and what the town is doing in terms of its thing. And these we thought we put on the foam, on the black dividers right at the entry. So people will be pretty close to these as they're coming in. So the first one is just our definition of what sustainability is on our website. So, and these are 11 by 17. This is what what our work plan items are for the year. And then this is,
And you'll draw attention to these when you're, during your introductory remarks.
yeah, I can definitely do that. Yeah. And then these are Ridgway's sustainability initiatives that are on the website, on the homepage. Okay. So I guess I feel we talked about whether or not we should make, large posters of these. I guess I feel that behind or people are coming in on that divider, there'll be one or more of us manning that area. And we can point to these as talking points, and I think probably they're mostly visible. I mean, we could blow them up. I did spend a lot of time, sizing the fonts for 11 by 14, so it'll be 11 by 17, so it'll be a little bit more effort to blow them up. Prefer not to do that, but if you think they're too small, we can try blowing them up. I might actually be able to output these as PDFs, and then the PDF might blow up. Okay. If we want to do that.
And with regards to the sustainability part, you decided to make a graphic on the Green Street Sustainability Part?
So-
Oh, sorry, maybe.
These are the ones that these are the ones that you gave us.
These were just clips right out of the master plan. Well,
These are the ones that you sent us.
At 4:30.
Okay,
Till 7.
and I worked on these to get them blown up so that they would work on a 11 by 17.
Okay.
Which is pretty small. This is, you're not gonna be able to see that, but even blown up at, 20 by 24 by 36, I'm not sure these are I think we want to really talk to these kind of things. We're gonna need to blow these up pretty big. And
I'm impressed that you said that the existing graphics that we had during those meetings, they don't exist anymore, or they, from the contractor that did the master plan. I thought we had some big size graphics of the final plan.
Of the Green Street Sustainability.
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, the
those-
final concept is in the plan.
in the
That's
plan,
what I was-
right?
but when the company that did it, when they did their community outreach ones, they had some big,
Oh, yeah, they're in my office. They're on foam core boards, which were more expensive because they were printed on the boards, but those were some of the draft concepts.
They weren't the final. Okay.
okay.
I mean, we can print it out on paper, just clip it on.
Well, that's what this is. And I just did screen captures from the master plan document itself, so they're not highly.
Yeah, so I don't know how well they're gonna blow up.
Yeah.
So if we could get a better image, we could print them, we get them.
Yeah, if we get, and we can try, if this is a PDF in the master plan, sometimes PDFs. Can blow them out. I guess my question is, well, sort of the relationship of the Green Street master plan to the ribbon cutting.
Well, it's twofold. One, it was one of the premier activities that the SAB was first known for. So if you're talking about the SAB and our accomplishments, this was our,
Okay.
at the time, we even referred to it as the flagship project. So
Okay.
to me, it's worth, if we're having, this is about what the SAB is about, in
I see.
addition to microgrid, it's more aligned with that.
So then we would have these four together.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's part of it. Secondly, the Impact Accelerator Grant, which we recently applied for, we applied for about $2.5 to $3 million to actually put the solar in. So to me, it's kind of an additional seeding and public information about,
Okay.
what we will be working on, hopefully, if we get a chance to get that grant money. So I think it's in line more with the SAB than it is the microgrid itself.
I see. So that being said, if we include this with these four posters on the entry, and we talk about that and people are, milling around or whatever. I don't know how much detail we would, be going into actually talking about these.
Probably don't need much. My guess is most, I would say 80% of people that are gonna show up for this have showed up for that.
Right.
Just so they're already familiar with it. So we don't have to go into great detail, other than pointing it out that this was one of the SAB's earlier, promotional items that we worked with the town on, worked with Preston on, and the contractor.
Right.
Kind of involved there.
Yeah,
So we can certainly blow that up. I'm just wondering if we
we can try to blow it up, but just to piggyback on what he's saying, this is, one of the goals was most educational type events. And so this is really driving home things that have been done, things that y'all want to achieve and everything. So I do agree with everything he's saying, what Terry's saying, that it'd be good to highlight a lot of this stuff, because this is an opportunity that you all had a goal for.
Right.
So even though the theme is the ribbon cutting, which is awesome, that needs to be the focus, but a lot of other stuff can be highlighted too.
Okay. So I guess it comes down to, do we want to make any of these bigger for this, for the purposes of this meeting? Or for this ribbon cutting?
If they, at $13, if we can afford it, and if they blow up without losing resolution, I'd say it's money well spent. The data for the microgrid, I'm gonna try to put that data up on a screen when I'm talking about the micro, because it's, I mean, it's geeky, but it shows how the microgrid works and what it does. It takes a little bit of explanation to read it at that size, so you have to really study it.
This is going to be on the screen when we did this.
We'll have a
one.
live version of
that.
the monitoring, but that's a full day's clip. It's in 2 different days. One of the days was a previous first Friday. So you can see that how the activity played out versus the day when nothing was going on.
Right.
And it was just, pure solar gain and cell back. So that's part of, so the microgrid has 3 primary purposes. One, it's a solar system that offsets the annual energy use of the building all year long. And that's what that first data graph shows. You can see, they've probably seen it, maybe he hasn't, but the relationship between the solar and the exporting of the solar is mirrored. The second is when the room is being used, you can see how the energy load, the usage goes up. There's a couple spikes in there, and so when the refrigerator kicks in, it's kind of fun to see.
So are you or APE going to talk in more detail about the microgrid itself?
I will. Yep.
Will you have a presentation on that? Will you have slides on that?
Yeah, I have to make them still.
Okay.
That's pretty close.
This is
Oh, that.
the preferred one. I just don't remember if it
That's the
is.
final one.
It's not the final one because it shifts it around.
Yeah,
But
right.
you can still use it as a,
Yeah, right.
as a visual and say,
Yeah.
this wasn't the final.
It's got the same elements, it's just rearranged. We can have them too.
You know, people like pictures.
I like a big.
But it could get people riled up, remember, because there were.
That's true.
This was the objection.
Right now, that's-
Right, right. So I don't know. It's just.
EVs?
Yeah.
If we can blow up the other one.
Oh,
Okay.
that's the
Put it on
town.
Let me see if I can
Yeah,
get
I'm
this
gonna
blown
get rid
up.
of the DP. Put in some.
Yeah, we don't. want
This
people-
is actually 2 of them, right? Or was this? I think these were 2 different
Two
graphics.
graphics.
So this is probably the one.
Even if you can just blow up.
Oh,
This
funny.
shows it.
They're the homeowners.
Okay, let me see if I can get this blown up and then we can.
Yes.
And we
have
can
that.
probably, maybe Preston can facilitate it, not if he has time. The contractor that put these graphics together could probably send you a higher quality image. This is just.
And then
Oh,
let me
is this
begin by-
APE?
No, it was.
Just ask for a PNG file and you can manipulate it.
Super blue. A what? A PNG?
PNG, Susan.
what I used for the, for that one was a PNG file and it didn't blow up at all.
That must have
But
been.
there was a PDF on another website that did blow up. So I'll just capture this from the master plan and see if it blows up. If not, then we'll figure something out.
Just live with that size.
Okay.
Good.
Alright.
Make sure all that works. It's good.
Those are really good things, but I something.
Yeah.
Once, after the event is passed, if, we would be willing to hang up some like long-term information in the space. We actually, have the neon sign in the room right now. It says community resilience. I think it looks kind of cool there and just kind of plants the seed that people said, oh yeah, this has this function. And there's space on the wall underneath that sign to put
Over the
some,
kitchen.
over by the kitchen, and we have some like kind of plexiglass sign holders. We have 8.5 by 11, or 11 by 17.
Okay, so we could do, that one maybe as an 11 by 17.
If it was 11 by 17, yeah, so that people could, yeah.
It would be nice to leave something, add something in the room that describes what this is. This is a pretty neat graphic here too, that talks about.
Yeah.
And the photos.
I think it's a great idea if we
Yeah.
can make that 11 by 7 and just put it right under the sign so folks.
We can do that this Thursday.
Should I send you an 11 by 17 of that?
Wait, maybe. You might have.
And it wouldn't have to happen by the event. can happen.
There's a
Following weeks,
permanent
yeah.
fixture. The other thought I had, it's not included in any of this yet, it's another sign that says this group is powered by the sun.
That'd be awesome.
Because it's all the press powers we want.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that
You
kind
can
of,
that neon too. That's.
that would be cool, but I think that the space, that kind of column underneath where the sign is sort of a natural place to do some educational material.
And that doesn't mind if it's not often used for the.
It's too small for art anyway, so it's kind of a nice spot. for it.
Is it 11 feet or 11 inches wide?
It's actually about 2 feet wide.
It's as wide
Okay,
as
so
that,
that'll-
it's as wide as the sign, where the sign fits on.
Okay, so we're gonna get that sign and maybe we can work on something of what Ridgway's, what the microgrid is. I mean,
Yeah.
resilience hub, that is kind of the general information about what is a resilience hub. And that describes
In a
sort
more
of,
permanent graphic that talks about the mic,
yeah,
would hang in that same space.
that's fun.
Yeah.
But I can,
Well,
two.
And then we have volunteers in there, pretty frequently, just kind of like doing gallery sitting for the art exhibit. And it would be a natural.
Yeah.
We can kind of train the volunteers to refer people to that information. So-
Great, I think that's all I had to present. It's come together. It took a little bit to, hurting a handful of cats, but appreciate all the help, Tara in particular. Getting access to, like I said, we're gonna do a private tour of the microgrid the day before with the DOLA folks who are in town. They're also gonna tour the microgrid that we installed. SMP facilities. And then she's gonna take time to go hike the perimeter trail. Yeah, she's driving in from.
Is that Julia?
Julia, driving in from Denver, so she's come a long way.
Do you need staff support for Thursday?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm just gonna, I am gonna take them to the roof just because they want to take any photos for their program.
Joseph will be there, the building manager.
Yeah, and I screwed up. I said Wednesday. And I was juggling, emailing Julia and SMPA coordinating.
Okay, so I do.
So,
So, but you don't need me there on Thursday?
No,
Okay,
other than somebody to open, get this access to the utility batteries are.
okay.
Well,
I'll come in.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You,
I thought you
you're
were gonna
the
do that
keeper
Friday.
of that rather than Joseph.
Joseph can give you access to any of that. I thought you needed access to the utility room on Friday.
No, well, yes, I do.
No, I'll be there on Friday for the event,
Okay.
so I can be on that on Friday.
Right, because we're gonna get public tours of that during that. During the event, a lot of people.
But for Thursday, if you're meeting Joseph, he can get you access to the utility closet.
And the roof,
Correct.
And the roof.
yeah, so we don't need Joseph.
Okay.
so two, just more minor things on that. It would be really cool to, and maybe they're already planning to do it, but it'd be nice for DOLA to add our example to their website. They have one for Colorado's or Fort Collins and I think Denver and one other place. So maybe they're already planning to do that. Is that
I think you should bring it up with Julia.
okay? I'll do that. I'd like to do
So I
that.
don't have to be the one to bring it up with you.
Okay, have you talked to her about it?
No, I haven't, but I did notice that we
Yeah.
weren't there.
Okay.
And it was because we haven't.
Thank you,
We
Terry.
haven't
Fine,
officially
yeah.
opened. Right. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Terry.
And then one final thing is, and I don't think this affects anything we're doing, but we have to recognize the fact that people may be, since it's First Friday, people may be coming and going in there and, trying to see the art. We have to be, cognizant of that and make sure that.
And did you ever have a chance to talk with Kane?
I haven't caught him in his office, his gallery,
Right.
so I might have to give him a call this.
Yeah, I just want to make sure he doesn't feel terribly threatened by our presence.
Same,
Kind of-
yeah, I definitely want to catch him somehow.
They already asked him and said that he wouldn't have any issue.
Yeah, they asked him and then Tara was like, you should also just go say thank you to him as a member of the staff.
Hard to see.
So you'll.
I'll
do
call
that.
him since I
Okay.
can't seem to find him in person.
Okay. All right, enough of that.
Yep, I think so.
Okay, third item is title-free regulations.
You know,
Would they
it's
not-
very sorry to be redundant, but make sure you keep track of any receipts for anything you
Yeah.
spend and for everything. I appreciate what you've done so far, but keep track, bring it in and we'll get you reimbursed. So
Yes.
I can't remember exactly who's doing what, but just remember to do that.
Thanks, Preston.
Thanks.
Also, with Dana not being here, should we wait to go over the idol with her?
Well, the only reason why I thought, and we can postpone this, but one of the things that we're gonna
Talk about it.
talk about it, town council was what we had come up with out
Okay.
of three.
Were we planning on being far enough along to introduce it to the council or just introduce the idea of it?
My own thought was if we can agree on the provisions that we would like to have in it, that I think we can discuss, sort of introduce those to the town council and say, we're working up a formal ordinance that will have its, readings or whatever. That was kind of what I was thinking, but just kind of a heads up. I have to have something to talk to him about. Right.
Well, and the ribbon cutting will be passed by that.
Right.
You'll have a lot to highlight with the ribbon cutting and the energy code cohort stuff. Yeah, idling.
Yeah, there'd be some, but anyway, so I don't mind postponing, it's just that it seems like we keep
Pushing it.
pushing it, it'd be nice.
Surprised Dave's not here as aggressive that she, unless.
I know. I think she's out of country. I think she mentioned until today or something.
Oh, is that?
But do we have enough, just with kind of what you've shared, she shared, I
Yeah.
mentioned the tail end,
So,
we're into this, we're looking at
Right.
this.
so what I did, I'd asked everybody to, give me your thoughts about what the provisions would be and we didn't get a lot, but so what I did is I went through and I basically compiled all of the ones from everything that Dana came up with and found a couple others on Telluride municipal code, and I have them all listed in the email that I just sent you. Since it takes me a little bit of time, do you have that email?
I do have
Can you
it.
go ahead and share it?
Yes.
And maybe we just go through it and just see which ones do we think are important, which are not, and what we're left with is what I think our provisions are. I noticed in the municipal code, a lot of a lot of towns, they're pretty simple provisions. It's not, probably Aspen was the most
Well,
detailed.
that was my first reaction to reading through. It's like, wow, that's a lot. Is there any way to?
No, I think we can cut this down. Again, my thought was, first of all, I had a question as whether or not should be in a municipal code or if it's part of a town ordinance.
So that's the same thing.
Same thing, okay. I thought maybe that was the case. I wasn't
The
sure.
other-
I mean, good question.
The overlaying filter to what it is so that we include in there is what is reasonably enforceable and how. In other words, if,
Yeah.
one, will this ever get enforced? And what's the mechanism for it? And two, some of this kind of implicit,
Yeah.
like having a bucket truck idle because they have a guy on the lift, it's kind of obvious.
So, yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. It's a really good question. I will never devote my
Any
police officers to walking around town.
Right,
But I'm not trying to be rude or
real.
diminish it. It's just
That's what I
what
said.
we have one
Yeah.
police officer on at any given time. It's not realistic.
Right.
It's gonna have to be complaint driven.
Mhm.
And a lot of other stuff is, that's fine. But I just want everyone to understand.
Right.
I mean, it's not like it'll be
Enforced.
heed, and not enforced, but Dana really, and I don't want to speak for her, but what I've heard her say is she really just wants to meet the spirit of Idle Free Ridgway, which has been an educational campaign for a long time. She'd like to have some teeth behind being able to tell people, and I totally understand that we're an idle free town, so.
That
And
and
possibly-
possibly signed by the post.
Possibly a couple of signs might help with the teeth.
Well, we have a lot of development that's probably gonna happen. So having these tools to enforce as something becomes egregious, or you get a
Right.
company that's just totally out of the lines
Mhm.
of what would be reasonable. It's just a good tool, that's it.
So then the second thing I think we had decided on is what the time limit should be, and the various codes that Dana came up with and put in it varied anywhere from, I think, 2 minutes to 15 minutes, depending on the town. And so I think we need to figure out what's most appropriate. I did a little bit of research because I thought, okay, why 5 minutes? Why 2 minutes? Why, whatever. And it turns out that for most modern cars, most cars, you're saving gas if you turn it off after 7 seconds and restart. So in other words, restarting a car does not use, they're very fuel efficient. So people are afraid of, it's taking more gas to start the car than it is to leave it idling for 2 minutes or 5 minutes. Apparently that's not the
There was
case.
another fact, I don't know if you sent it or somebody sent it, maybe it was Dana. saying that modern cars, starter motors are made for, millions of starts, whereas the older vehicles, your starter motor would go out. The more you kept starting the car, eventually your starter motor would go out. But that's not true of modern cars. So that's another issue along the same lines, which is.
And then I also thought, where is it, we keep talking about the market and the post office as people leave their car running and go in and do something. And so my thought is setting it to a pretty low limit might catch those. If they're in the post office, they think they're only going in for a minute, but then there's it's crowded and so they end up being there 5 minutes, or the same thing with they think they're just going in for a loaf of bread, but then there's a line. So my own personal bias is to set the limit low rather than higher.
Are we trying to do personal vehicles? Is this encompassing personal vehicles? Are we talking like trucks and?
Well, this is
Personal, I believe.
it's personal, but a bunch of stuff in here from Aspen and other places includes commercial vehicles.
That's what I would think would be the most troubling, because that exhaust is typically not great.
Yeah, but a lot of commercial vehicles
Have all these exceptions.
have all these exceptions to.
Understood, but I get it, because I've been in that industry, but it is a bigger concern of mine going through town. Obviously, we have a lot of construction.
This actually none of this really differentiates between personal and commercial, and I don't think we really need to. It's any motor vehicle. And so that would catch, the contractors, for instance, that come by and stop in and get a coffee and leave their car running while they get their coffee.
Another geeky data point, which won't play in the ordinance that I read, is that with today's fuel being, majority of the fuel having ethanol in it, when you idle your car for more than a minute, it increases the ratio of alcohol in the fuel while it's idling, and it's detrimental to all of the seals and the rubber in your car. So the longer you idle your car, the faster you wear out parts compared to running it under load. The other geek point was your car warms up better if you start it and immediately drive it than if you start it, let it idle for 2 minutes and then drive off.
Is that true?
Yeah,
Huh.
putting it under load warms the vehicle up faster than just letting it idle.
Huh.
Because it gets up to an operating temperature. This don't play into this, geek points.
What was I can't remember, it's on the packet, Dana got those regulations from which community? Do y'all remember?
Aspen, yeah.
Ophir was one of the ones, right?
Was it? I don't
Or no.
remember. It was Denver, it was, Aspen, there wasn't.
Rika? I feel like it was one of those small towns she had one from.
Johnstown or something. They're like 4.
Okay.
I took the longer document I took from some random website with idling with communities with current idling provisions also a bit dated, but that's the one that Dana produced. I just don't remember exactly where it came.
That one's pretty similar to Aspen, but it isn't exactly Aspen.
I guess what I'm going, or where I'm going is I really would advise not to reinvent the wheel.
And none of this was inventing the wheel that I put together. It's just all the provisions, seeing which ones we thought we should have. So, and I guess what I was thinking is if we could just take like 3 minutes and go through it real quickly and take out the ones that we don't think really apply that much to Ridgway, or that's
From your email where you can.
from my email.
Yeah.
Right.
Not looking.
Yeah, so I mean, basically all I did was I just compiled all this into one email. And I said where these things come in. So I started out with the main provision. And we just need to figure out what time, how much time we want to set it for.
I propose 3 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say 1 minute, so
I was gonna say 1 minute.
just to be extra.
I would like to catch the people that run in the post office.
Don't catch me on a 100-degree day with my dog in the car then. Because that will be me. But I am less than 2 minutes.
Who wants to cash them inside?
So, maybe one of these was 2 minutes, maybe we compromise in 2 minutes and.
Yeah. 1 minute sounds like we're being.
Too harsh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so 2 or 3?
Can't have more than 15 seconds. Drop it down.
One of these other ones had 2 minutes.
Preston will get the marshal.
So let's try 2 minutes and see what council says. Maybe they'll want that.
Okay.
And then the next provision is from Aspen saying, it accepts, any vehicle that needs to idle for safety reasons. And it gave some examples. C was, exempts vehicles that, need to be idled for, to perform a function. So like garbage trucks and cement mixers and presumably trucks with, refrigerators on.
Well, this goes back to my first statement, which is the enforceability. When would, and if it's enforceable by complaint, who would complain about an ambulance that's idling? Think about a bucket truck that's got a guy up on a lift. So, I mean,
Maybe not.
or is it even necessary to include these? Maybe technically for, to give teeth to, if Preston had to have a marshal enforce it for some reason, but if it's complaint driven, what scenario would drive a complaint? That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm answering or understanding your question, but I mean, yeah, we'll get calls for sure. And then they'll either need to catch a vehicle in the act and be able to substantiate that vehicle, whatever it is,
Knowingly violated.
has been going for 2 minutes or more, or what they'll probably need to do is start a timer once they get out there, and then they'll be able to substantiate it if it does go over that threshold in the time that they're out there. And then, but your questions about these vehicles like forklifts and stuff, and
Things that are obvious that they have to idle or operate.
right, we'll need to frame this in a way where it leaves no room for ambiguity. I mean, I don't think section C is written very well, to be honest with you, because it says, says, in other words, emptying solid waste containers, mixing cement, providing emergency medical services. And the way I read that, that's the extent of it. Everything else that could be in that category would not be included.
So
A way around that would be
not included.
EG instead of IE.
Yeah, that was poorly written.
So,
And there's another one down there that says, including but not limited to. Actually, the section D has the same thing. That was from Denver. Now it's talking about vehicles that isn't for safety reason or functional, but it's I guess it's limiting it. Yeah, it almost seems like C and D could kind of go together.
I'm picturing the beer distributor pulls up at the store, we don't turn the features off while he's delivering.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably shouldn't, you don't want warm beer. So maybe C and D we can sort of combine those two together because they're kind of pretty similar.
We put an EG beer distributor.
And then section E was, I think, also from Denver. Talking about temperature, which I just put it there. I don't agree with that. I don't think it should.
Maybe we should just eliminate all temperature.
Yeah,
so this is saying if it's less than 20 degrees outside, you can do whatever you want.
right, right,
Yeah,
exactly.
so.
And I'm not sure why it's in there. Again, I just threw it in. I would be in favor.
24-hour period, it's like, you don't have time, but you have to look back.
Right, you have to look back. I'm definitely.
Well, also
in favor.
because probably around homelessness.
Mm.
There's like people who live out of their cars, and so I guess in Denver especially, it's about trying to like
Yeah, that could be.
take care of folks who need to have their car.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
Yeah, there.
Should we just scratch E altogether?
I feel like we could scratch EL together. F, this is the technical, again, this is from Aspen. This is a technical thing about diesel engines on big rigs. I think mostly saying, they need to idle in order to get up to pressure and temperature and stuff. And
Pretty wonky,
I don't know if we need that or not. Here in
especially the last sentence, temperature pressure is indicated.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're trying to catch people and who are running in the store, running into the post office, a few other places, don't turn off the car while they're doing that. And I don't know if this one is really gonna affect much.
So we mostly like just like the first few, A,
I
B,
think
C.
A, B, and C and D combined. The very last one about passenger
Go
vehicles, I don't know.
bus or something.
We don't have many buses coming through here, but we might at some point.
Mustang
Yeah, and your way.
and our way and
Or our way.
smart bus.
So it might be good to have that in there, just again, to your point, we need to make sure that we're catching what might be going on in here.
There's like there are the commuter shuttles that run from the fairgrounds here up to Telluride all winter long for all the employees that are going up. And I know they idle to keep the car warm for folks as they load in early morning.
President, does an ordinance usually also state the consequences, like if the first infraction is a warning?
Yeah, I would either have standalone punitive measures, or it would just point to the penalty section of the municipal code. I'd probably prefer that for
I think,
traffic infraction.
I think there was,
Dana standing there throwing oranges at you.
Yes.
I think that
Tomatoes.
one or more of these did point to the penalty section of the mean.
So it's a more efficient way to. What I like to do though is what the point I was trying to make with this, where you're scrolling through Sheridan is these might be, a lot of these might be dated. Like if we're honing in on the provisions that you picked out, David, Aspen and some in Denver, I probably want to look at their current codes to see if they still track, or if they've changed in the last 15 years. Because I pulled this document from some website and it was dated like, I'm making it up, but like maybe 2008 or something. It's a long time ago. So might want to cross-reference that City of Aspen Municipal Code, City of Denver Municipal Code to make sure everything's still tracking and they haven't made any added limitations or what have you. So I can try to do that for a few of those.
Okay.
And it excludes all EVs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so so then the action item is you're just gonna you're gonna go through these and see if these are still sort of current.
Yeah, I can commit to spending some time doing that.
And we decided, which ones of those ones did we decide?
A, B, C, D, G.
Say that again.
A,
So you could,
B,
without reading them in detail, you could. read the
C,
council.
D, and then
It's kind
G.
of overhead.
Yeah,
Or
Yeah.
preferred.
I think so.
Right.
Possibly combining C and D.
so, yeah, for council, I can say, basically, we're recommending a 2-minute time limit. And I can kind of combine B and D, in terms of, function type thing. What was, D was the vehicles that are excluded. And then G is for passenger buses, yeah. So, yeah, I'll put
And
together,
irrespective of the detaels of the ordinance, the
right,
key
the
for
key
your
points,
presentation is the fact that this was a work item.
right,
That we're actually moving forward with drafting an ordinance that will come before you in the next couple months.
right.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have gone through the detail of each of these with them anyway, just a brief summary of each point that we have agreed are important, and we said A, B, C, D, and G.
Shout out to Dana.
Okay.
That's a good call.
Yeah, I mean, so it's September. We go, I mean, we could have a first reading in October, second reading in November.
Yeah.
But all this would be subject to attorney review just to verify that we're not
Right.
Violating some sort of very restrictive state statute or something.
Somebody who gets a ticket for idling sues the town for.
Yes. Okay, anything else on that? Number 4, reviewing consideration of SOD member team policy, term policy. So at last meeting, we talked about people's terms coming up, and I sat down and thought, because we talked a little bit, how do we do our staggering and manage that going forwd. And I thought, well, maybe this is a little bit of policy that we can kind of adopt and then we're done. Dana and Dave have offered to stay on for one more year, which allows us to begin the staggering. So the rest of this policy is basically just to codify how it will work going forward. And of course, we all know that they're appointed by the town council, serve for a term of 3 years.
So real quick, I'm gonna have to nitpick some of the stuff. You gotta make sure all this is as objective as possible. Nominal, 3 years is not nominal in my eyes, so I would just put a term of 3 years.
The reason I said nominal is that down below it, okay.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to get a remind from is that sometimes the terms might go a little less or a little bit more depending on if
For staggering.
well, yeah, so I guess specifically what I was saying there, let's say that my term ends in August, but we don't get a new member for whatever reason until November. I would be encouraged to stay on till November so that we have some continuity. And that's why it could be more than 3 years. I guess it would never be less than 3 years unless.
There's, I get what you're saying, there's some flexibility in how we
Okay.
structure it and such.
I'm fine with any kind of wording that we have.
Anyway, keep taking us through, because there were some other pieces I wanted to mention about those too.
Okay, so a 3-year term, if somebody resigns, then we'd need a replacement member. And to keep the terms overlapping, a replacement member, in my mind, would only serve out the term of the person they replace. Because if they start a new term at that point, then our staggering is all out of whack. That person has the option of asking to re-up for another 3-year term after that replacement term is over. Ex officio members basically serves to the end of the town council term or whatever town council determines. So that's basically how we get members. The second point is now this is how we do the staggering. The two longest serving members expire every August. So August is our time for members to leave and new members to come in, except for case of replacement members. And town council appoints new ones, and term expired members encouraged to stay on until their replacement comes in, just so that we don't end up with only 2 people or 4 people or whatever on the council. This kind of the next point kind of speaks to what we did last meeting. We encouraged Dave and Dana to stay on, but maybe some members would like to serve another term, and that's fine. But it would be a 3-year term again, so that we can manage the overlap. And I said town council approval is not required. Maybe it should be.
It is required.
Okay, so
we have to take Dana and Dave's appointment to them.
Okay, all right, so we can strike that, or just say town council approval is required.
Now, on that first bullet, a member may elect to
Serve a second,
have the town council consider them for a second term.
sure.
And then, but not third. I understand what you're getting at there. That would need to be something right? Like an unwritten rule. It can be written here, but like you're trying to say it wouldn't be good form for you all to have a third term.
I'm just, and this was a discussion item, I just feel like if somebody's, 6 years seems like a long time to be on SAB. I'd kind of like members to move off the SAB and onto planning commission or town council or whatever you want to keep.
Saying beyond 6 years is not sustainable.
Right. So that's what I was trying to achieve there, Preston, but again, wording whatever you want.
Town board approval is needed and,
Okay, all right. I thought you had said at the last meeting that we can vote on having Dave and Dana do another term. And we didn't have, but you said, but now you're saying,
I don't remember what I said.
Okay.
I could have been incorrect, but.
Okay. all right, but that's fine. Town approvals, is fine. And then obviously people are, for whatever reason, are gonna need to resign potentially. And so this is to, cover that eventuality. Okay. And then I put this last one in blue, and maybe we don't need it in our, maybe it's, unspoken or whatever, but I just put that in there. If members need to be removed for whatever reason, the town council has to do that.
Yeah, and that's in the
That's in there.
authority and procedures.
Okay,
It's just, it wouldn't have to be a unanimous vote. It would just be a majority.
okay. So again, this was all just off the top of my head. I was mostly trying to make sure that we keep on a rotating schedule. And then what I would present to council on Wednesday is basically just the current, this last table of our members. I mean, this is the first time that members have gone off the board because they turned out. And so it's kind of a new situation for
You mean Dave and Dana?
Dave and Dana,
Yeah.
but that they are,
Considered for another year, right?
yeah,
Which is why you have 26 and then. Yeah,
Right.
that makes sense. And, and then hopefully we have interest from someone in putting in a letter of interest for the vacant spot.
right.
I just asked that question.
We'll see. How are we doing so
How
far?
we doing?
I'm learning a lot, I'll say that. for sure.
And of course, this rotating terms doesn't include the ex officio member, the ex officio.
So FYI, that's an annual thing. So we have every
The ex
election every
officio.
year, and then town council goes through and appoints all the committee members on an annual basis.
Okay. And that's fine too. That's. However the town.
Together.
Yeah, thank you for
It's a good
dropping.
supplement to the authority and procedures so that there's some more
So.
specific terms.
So I'll leave that in your hands to do what you want with, if everybody here agrees that this kind of makes sense. What I'll plan to present to council on Wednesday is just what our current makeup is and what the rotations are gonna be going forward. All right? Next item. Okay, so okay, discussion preparation for town council, okay. So,
Yeah, it looks like we're not gonna have time to talk about our work plan items until next month, though.
And I do think that's fine.
Yeah.
But I really would like to, if you remember last year, we were like at the 11th hour in December.
Right.
Yeah, so it'd be good to spend at least an hour next meeting.
yeah, so
And
on 6, and well, 5 here, update to town council, I will put together a like a PowerPoint presentation. I can run it by you and get your approval for
while they're presenting at the meeting.
at the meeting.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
mean,
yeah, I see like
I
it's,
don't need to give you approval.
okay, it's like 5, I envision about 3 to 5 slides.
Perfect. Yeah, if you just finalize it and then send it to me.
Okay.
So I can bring it up from where I sit and then you can
Okay.
tell me to move through, but just send me the final version.
Okay.
I'll review it. Is there anything explicit?
I will leave,
Take out the tomatoes thrown.
right, I'll be careful. Okay, and then number 6, yeah, basically what I think we should plan to do, especially since if any of the work items that we want to do in 2026 have any, budgetary considerations, we need to have them finalized and start talking about budget. I won't be here in November. December is kind of too late. So I think our next meeting should be really focused on work items.
Perfect.
And,
So one thing, just for information's sake, that impact accelerators grant that we're working to apply for, we will find out if letter of intent was accepted by the end of October.
by the end or the first of October?
First of October. Then we have until, I think it's a month to write the full And currently, if you recall, there's a 2 million is the standard, 500,000 is the constraint, and 5 million is the vision.
Mhm.
All three of those items require a 5% match from the tenant. We've decided in the application, they get a cash match, so it's not the burden Preston with dealing with in-kind accounting and all that kind of stuff. So that, those 5% of 500 of 2 million of 5 million will be brought before council. Just as an FYI, this could impact the 2026 budget should we be successful getting it. Right.
True,
So I want to inform SAB because we're kind of supporting this process that's something that's, it's a lot to.
right, but that's a good thing because some of the budget things we might be interested in having them add won't be needed if we get that grant because we cover that.
To jump back real quick, sorry, a good combo. Before I forget to mention it on the presentation to the town board, right now that agenda looks really long. And I don't have the SAB items at the forefront. There's an art to doing the agenda and there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen before. So just kind of a heads up. You guys aren't obligated to be in person, if you don't want to, if you can't even attend. But if you wanted to,
So,
everyone appreciate you being here, but if it is, too late, I'll give you an estimated start time for
Okay.
the presentation on Friday, but it's just an estimate. But if you felt more comfortable doing it at home, because it is going to be a little later, totally understand.
yeah, I'll be in person. I want to get to know the council
Yeah, I
better.
just throwing that out there.
If you can, for sure.
Anyway, you're talking about accelerator.
I think we're done. We're just, the accelerator grant might impact how much budget the town has because of the match.
Yeah, because that's a big,
We'll come up
big
with
commitment.
3 bucket placeholders, which may or may not make it as a budget line item. You gotta know those could impact the town budget in 26 if we're successful in that. So it's contingent.
Okay,
Did
so-
you put out the packet for town council?
It's next week, right?
It's,
This,
yeah, it's next, so Friday.
you told me last meeting. It's gonna be
Okay.
on, right?
So you need my presentation by Friday because you need to put that in the,
Good question. It'd be nice to have it by Friday. If you don't have it ready, it's not a big deal. You can send it to me early next week and
And-
just make sure.
and do you use, if I do in PowerPoint, do you
Yeah.
need PDFs or does it matter?
If you send it to me in PowerPoint, I'll save it as a PDF.
Okay.
So, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can do it by Friday, that'd be great. Like noon on Friday.
Okay.
Noon on Friday.
All right. So, I think we're done. Just make sure by next meeting, you are real clear on what you want to propose that we do next year and don't propose anything that you're not willing to work on or lead. And one of our first things, well, obviously will be to look at our 2025 and see what we want to bring
Carry
forward.
to-
Yeah. And maybe we modify them a little bit.
So who else is gonna be able to attend the ribbon cutting?
It's on Friday evening.
Oh, pardon me?
Yeah.
Yeah. on Friday, definitely.
I can do it. I think. My
Okay.
dad is coming.
Oh,
Otherwise, we're gonna have some,
Oh, cool.
some name tags for that. I have the holders are supposed to arrive today, so I'll bring those on Friday. And if you'd like to attend, we can invite you in.
Bring me in. Oh, sweet. Now or when I get.
Right,
get
let's
there?
go now.
Make it
Yeah, right. Yeah,
perfect.
there we go.
Well done.
Nice.
You're in.
Gotta recruit.
I move we approve the budget, the budget, the minutes.
Do we have a second? Okay, all right. And then I guess we, meeting's adjourned at whatever it is now, 7 o'clock. Wow, look at that. We started
Look
at
at us
5.
go. Amazing with all that stuff.
I run a tight ship.
Yeah, you do.
Guys, that's a lot of work. Everybody's good. I'm excited to see.
Trained thoroughly.
Nice.
Welcome aboard.